Hi folks, welcome to the video on the frame strip of the SIG P210 American. I'm going to get started straight away because we got a lot to cover in a short time. Start by taking the grips off. It is a Torx number 15 screw here. There's only one screw that goes through to the other side. So we just unscrew him. We hear the click, it's out. Set that to the side. Grips come off by lifting up in the back and then sliding rearward. You have a little groove here that kind of wedges onto the frame in the front, sort of like a P38. Other side basically just falls off for us then. Moving forward from there, to get the hammer box out, what you'll do is come back here, and there's another Torx screw on the underside of the beaver tail. You have to have the grips off first for this to work. Unscrew it. And the whole hammer box comes out. Set him to the side for now. To get the safety out, what you'll want to do is take loose this, yet again, Torx number 15 screw. Just like so. And then the safety lifts out. That pretty well covers whatever you'd want to do as far as all this back here goes. If you'd like to, you can disassemble the magazine catch here. Push a piece of cardboard up against it to protect the finish, just in case we slip. For this, I'm using I believe it's a 1.5 millimeter flathead. Yep, 1.5 millimeter. And on the front of the button, can we see it? Can we get it in focus? Maybe. On the front of the button anyway, there's this little detent that needs to be pushed in. So we'll put the cardboard here up against it. We'll push in against that. This is hard to do while keeping it in frame. And it'll start to come out a little bit. Then you just grab it with your fingers, pull it out. You have to wiggle it a little bit to get out. You'll have a spring on the back side there, and then the little detent here with a spring underneath it. The raised portion goes to the inside of the frame. Basically, it's just a little latch that holds that in. Set that to the side. Inside the frame here, if you are so inclined, there is a 2 millimeter way down that hole here, way down through there. There's a 2 millimeter screw that acts as an over travel stop. They have that set pretty well from the factory. I wouldn't recommend messing with it. Coming on over to the hammer box. This is your mainspring that controls the amount of tension that is on the hammer. This little, basically bar nut at the bottom here, you can spin it in and out 1/2 turn at a time. Spinning it in increases the tension on the mainspring, increases the tension on your sear engagement surfaces, gives you a little more stiff trigger pull. If you like to have more control like that, also it's going to give you harder hammer strikes if you're trying to get extra reliability on primer ignition. If you screw it out, you get less tension on this, which decreases the pressure, tension that's on your sear engagement surfaces and will make your trigger lighter. If you screw it too far out, this will fall off the end. You don't want that to happen. They have it usually set pretty nicely from the factory, but you can tweak it a little bit. I wouldn't recommend more than maybe 4 turns one way or the other from the factory setting. Otherwise you might run into some issues. Just get it outside your comfort zone. But that's all there is to that piece. Oh, this here looks like a screw that you can take out. And if you're not paying attention, you'll start twisting on that and you're going to mess something up. Because what there is in the bottom of the hammer box here, you have a 1.3 millimeter screw that controls this. This is a 1.5 millimeter, so you have to loosen the 1.3 and then you can spin the 1.5 clockwise or counterclockwise. If you go in the counterclockwise direction, you'll basically make your wall in the trigger pull non-existent, and it's awful. If you go in the clockwise direction, it makes the wall kind of stiff and almost like a duty trigger kind of thing. The way they have it set from the factory is really nice. I wouldn't recommend messing with this. What else do I want to talk about? Is that it? I think that's everything. Okay, let's put it back together then. Oh no, there is one more thing. For this, I'm going to use a paper clip. This is your slide stop spring right here. And sometimes, I'm not sure why, but this falls out. And I know it falls out because when I got the pistol new, the first time I field stripped it, it fell out. So we're going to take it out so I can show you how to put it back in if yours falls out. There's a groove cut into the frame right in here. What you'll need to do is take a paper clip. I'm going to get it underneath there, and that lifts the spring out. It starts to lift it out, just like so. And then what you'll kind of do is on the top edge of it, you'll kind of finagle it outward, and the whole thing pops out. It sits in the frame with the main body of it in that groove, and this little nub off the end here, straight nub, in this little hole right there, little blind hole. To put it back in, what you need to do is it's going to orientate into the frame like this, the bendy side down, and the side with just the little straight nub up. You won't start by putting the bend back into that groove. What you'll actually do is come in, get the bendy part through the frame, facing down. You'll get to where you're lining up the straight portion with that hole. It'll find its spot, and then you just kind of let it lay down in. And normally, between this sitting inside that little divot and the rest of the body being in this groove, which is then gone through by the takedown pin, by the slide stop, you won't have that come out. I'm not sure, maybe it was an assembly issue at the factory or someone at the store field stripped it, but it fell out once on me and it hasn't done it since. But if yours falls out, that's all you have to do to get it back in. Let's put this thing back together, huh? Start by putting the safety back on. That is important because the safety has a little groove here that actually interfaces with a groove on the back side of the hammer box. And so you can't get the hammer box back in. Well, you can get the hammer box back in, but if you get the hammer box back in without the safety in, you can't get the safety back in. So what we'll do is we'll put the safety in, just lining it up into that hole. And you kind of want to lead from the back here. That's the important part. Once we've done that, I'm going to push down on the back and kind of help this detent get started because it's not being stopped by its screw. So I'm just going to push forward on that detent a little, and it lets me snap the safety up. I'm going to take that screw, this is the T15 Torx, put it in. It doesn't need to be very tight because it's normally also retained by the grip. So just get it in, give it a little snug. You don't want to damage anything trying to over tighten it. Coming back from there, we can put the mag catch back in. It's going to go this way with the hole for that spring going towards what is the top of the frame. We're going to make sure that we have the detent orientated to where the raised portion is going in and facing forward. Push it in just like that. And then when you get it here, take your piece of cardboard, stick it underneath there so you don't mar anything up. Push forward, or inward I guess, onto that detent, and it will start to pop down in. Just give it a little press, and it's working just fine. Take the hammer box, drop it down in. The hammer box does not come out if the grips are not off. It will hang up on the inside here. Take the screw for it, place it in, start it gently by hand, come back in and snug it up. That comes with red Loctite on it, but I don't believe that's actually really very critical because normally when the pistol is assembled, the slide will hold it in. It probably helps with consistency a little bit and probably just to keep curious people from pulling out the hammer box and messing with that stuff. Grip leads from the front, comes on. Other grip leads from the front, drops on. Screw down in, we'll backspin, feel it click, and screw it in. Don't need to be especially tight because we have to remember that we're working on metal parts that are in wood, and you can compress that wood and damage the grips permanently if you get too aggressive with it. But that is reassembly of the frame. Take the safety off. Working fine. Thanks for watching.